Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Happy New Week. If you're watching this on Monday, this is for Monday. And this week I'm excited. I'm excited because I've decided to talk about and to spend my meditation time this week on the temptations of Jesus. And those are really great. They inform us about the character of God. They inform us about life in this world. They inform us about the evil one. They inform us about ourselves. So I hope you'll journey with me this week as we look at those temptations. I'm going to look at them from the Gospel of Matthew mainly. That's a more common place. Matthew sets them out. There are 4 of them. Now, they're found in Matthew chapter 4, and it begins with Jesus being led out into the wilderness. Now, you need to know Matthew is a big guy at writing to a Jewish audience and putting things in terms that evoke memories and ideas from the Old Testament. So, for example, Jesus is tested or in the wilderness fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 days and 40 nights. 40 days is always significant biblically as a noticeable time. You know, it's kind of like 24/7. For us, it's a symbol of a noticeable time. But it's also evocative of 40 years that Israel spent in the wilderness. Now, the wilderness itself was considered a place where you were refined and prepared for God's calling. It was kind of a place to go. We can think of it as that retreat you go to get ready for a new position, a new calling, a new something. And so Jesus goes out into the wilderness and he's led there by the Spirit. This is him getting ready for his ministry. And so when he's out there, Satan comes up to tempt him. Now, Matthew will use 3 different words for Satan. He'll call him the evil one. He'll call him the tempter. He'll call him Satan. Satan and devil are interchangeable. One is from Greek and one is from Hebrew. They both mean the same thing, the opponent or the accuser. But all of those are typical of what a name was back in biblical times, simply a description of who you were and what you did and what you had done and what you would do. And so it's appropriate to use all sorts of names for Satan because he's all sorts of people. Like Jesus has 8 gazillion names. We, in our century, because you have to put your name on everything, we tend to think of names as your label. But it was so much more than that in biblical times. So the tempter is what he's called first by Matthew. The tempter comes up to tempt Jesus. And his first temptation is really cool. He says to Jesus, hey, if you're the Son of God, and if, since, same type thing, since you're the Son of God, why don't you turn these rocks into bread? Now, that would not be a temptation to me. I can't do that. That's only a temptation to someone who can do it, which Jesus could do. And so, we tend to think of Satan as someone who wears that Halloween costume. Last night was Halloween, the red suit with the pointy ears and the pointy tail and the pitchfork, who jumps out nanner nanner, trick or treat, or I'm gonna get you, or something like that. Well, Satan rarely appears like that. More often, Satan appears like he does here as the tempter. He appears as your friend. He appears as the nice person. He appears as, Satan. Paul will call him disguising himself as an angel of light to seek those who he might consume, devour, and that's what he does here. I mean, Jesus has been starving himself, preparing for this mission, and what could be friendlier than offering a starving man bread? And that's where he starts out. Now, Jesus doesn't take it. He responds quoting Deuteronomy 8:3. In Deuteronomy 8:3, he quotes when he says, it's written, man shall not live by bread alone. But that verse is even more significant. That verse starts out with the fact that God had let Israel get hungry to humble them, to teach them, to prepare them. And then God gave them manna from heaven to feed them. And so Jesus is saying, I've got a purpose here on earth before God, and I'm going to do my purpose. That's the important thing. And God will take care of feeding me at the right time. I like this on so many levels, and I've got to bring this to a close, but let me tell you this. Number one, be careful, because some of the most beguiling temptations are those which seem to most feed your wants and needs. Number two, if you've got wants and needs, try to figure out what God's teaching you through those. And number three, let's trust God in His way and His time to meet our needs as we prayerfully set them in front of Him. That's your video thought for the day. We'll look at another temptation tomorrow. God bless you.